I have a story for you. I think you'll enjoy it. Years ago, as I mentioned, after studying history and preparing law school, I came to Germany, but I didn't come to Berlin. But I have now, and it is beautiful. The Reichstag, the Brandenburg Gate, which, of course, I watched Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan appointed me U.S. Attorney years ago. I enjoyed that work very much. And I noticed last afternoon, the energy of the people, and I asked, is it always like this? And I understand there was a football game going on, so that explains that. But the beauty of the landscape, we went up in the TV tower, I think you call it, and oh, that was just gorgeous. And we got to see the whole thing all around and around, and it was lovely. So I asked myself, Henry, why did it take so long for you to come to this place? So I've been here now, and I'm going to come back. I'm looking forward to it. And I want to thank you all for this marvelous invitation. And now, if you give me a moment, I have a little bit of history for you that you may not know. There was an Italian merchant and explorer, you may have heard of him, named Amerigo Vespucci. Somebody said yes. He was a major player during the voyages to the New World in the late 15th century. You know, Christopher Columbus came over to near the continent in 1492. His children, we sang in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and that's how we remembered that. And he thought he had landed in Asia, but he had not. It was a man named Amerigo Vespucci, who correctly assumed that this land was, in fact, a new continent. Then, in 1499, he sailed to Hispaniola, which today is Haiti and the Dominican Republic, for Spain. And he also explored further south and filled his notes and notebooks with detailed descriptions of all he saw on that voyage in 1499. Then in 1501, his second voyage, then for the Portuguese, he explored further the coasts of what are now Brazil and Argentina. Then in 1503, his third and final voyage, which was for the King of Portugal, again looking for a route to India. On all these voyages, Amerigo Vespucci kept detailed records, including geographic and astronomical details. He was an astronomer. He was a highly educated man. He kept all those details of everything he saw. Then, in 1507, a German cartographer named Martin Waldseemüller, pretty good, created a new map based on Amerigo Vespucci's records, inscribing the same with these words, or this name. I'm going to try to pronounce it. I think it's Italian mainly. Ab America inventore quasi Americi terram civi Americam, which was later shortened, of course, to America. So first thing I want to do is thank you, because but for the German map maker, Martin Waldseemüller, I would be coming today to see you from Vespucci land. Going on in history, 1739, I want to tell you about South Carolina now. We love our state. It's a beautiful place. And in 1739, one of King George's people wrote back to the king, to His Excellency James Glenn, Esquire, Captain General, Governor, Commander-in-Chief, in and over His Majesty's province of South Carolina, and so forth. He says the prospect of Charlestown, which we call Charleston today, is humbly inscribed by His much obliged humble servant, B. Roberts. And this was published according to the Act of Parliament. I won't read the whole thing, but you'll be interested in this, because all this is still there today. Charlestown, the metropolis of the province of South Carolina, is pleasantly situated between the Cooper and Ashley rivers, which form a spacious and convenient harbor. The climate of Carolina, formerly called Florida, you remember the French and the Spanish were fighting over the place, is extremely agreeable and wholesome, and compared with the rest of the northern hemisphere, may well be looked upon as the most temperate part of the habitable earth on the north side of the equator. It is the fairest and most fruitful province belonging to Great Britain. It goes on to say, so that it is no wonder if Charlestown, which a few years ago was a small and inconsiderate place, now be a very great and flourishing town, adorned with handsome and commodious buildings, both private and public, among which is the Church of St. Philip, may justly be reckoned the finest structure in America. And ending up, he says, this town and province may justly be esteemed the most flourishing of any of His Majesty's dominions in America. Well, the King George is gone. We don't answer to him anymore. But we are determined to see that that characterization is going to come to fruition. And we would like to have your help and assistance in doing that. And we want at the same time to do what we can do to help you accomplish your goals. Move forward a little bit. In 1992, Governor Carroll Campbell and BMW's leader at the time were trying to work out a deal for BMW to come to America. And they had their teams with them, and according to the stories I read about it, I knew Governor Campbell very well, and this is true. They had their teams working, and they couldn't get to square one. So finally, the BMW leader and the governor went to the governor's mansion, went out by the pool, sat down at a table. Each had one assistant with them. In just a few minutes, over a cocktail, they scribbled out a few notes on a cocktail napkin and shook hands. And that was the deal that launched BMW. And I read those notes of that meeting from the leader of BMW. Well, in July 27, 2016, Mercedes-Benz vans opened their facility in North Charleston, South Carolina, which is just north of the city of Charleston. They're adjacent. Then in 2019, I attended the BMW 25th anniversary. It's in a little town called Greer. Most people would refer to Spartanburg, which is bigger, and that's right up in the top of the state near Greenville. And at that meeting, I was sitting on the front row as you are, and I remember the chairman of BMW said, South Carolina is a handshake state. He said, I would rather have your hand in mine and your word than a written contract. And it's still that way today. That's how we like to do business. October 13th, 2022, South Carolina launched its first EV summit in the United States in Greenville, South Carolina. It was in conjunction with the National Governors Association, had people there from all over, and it was absolutely fascinating. Our goal is accelerating South Carolina's e-mobility competitiveness in the United States. And let me mention to you, you probably noticed during the pandemic, it was the states in the Southeast that stayed open. It was the states in the Southeast that stayed open and let people work. It was the states in the Southeast that understood the Constitution of the United States that says the government cannot take your property from you without just compensation. But there was none offered in all of those mandates that came down, some of which we fought and won in court. But we stayed open, and we'll continue to stay open. So we had that EV summit, and who was in it from the government side? It was the Departments of Transportation, Commerce, and Harry Lightsey is here, he's Secretary of Commerce in South Carolina, best in the country, of course. In the Departments of Energy, our technical colleges, and our Department of Workforce and Development. Then keep going to September 2023. We created something we call SC Nexus. What is SC Nexus? Again, our rule is to communicate, collaborate, cooperate, not only among the state agencies, but the county governments, the city governments, and also the private industry, the private sector. And that's how we succeed. If you stumble along by yourself, we've learned you're not going to get very far, but you listen and work with people, and you can work miracles. What is SC Nexus? Created in September 2023, it is a strategic alliance committed to creating a globally leading, end-to-end, resilient, sustainable energy ecosystem that powers industry and residential infrastructure. What does it include? Academic researchers, faculty, and students at the University of South Carolina, Clemson University, and South Carolina State University. Also business alliances, startup innovative entities, and government entities, again, Department of Commerce, Workforce, the Technical College System, of which we have 16, and the Savannah River National Laboratory. And by the way, our 16 technical colleges began living in 1961. I think we were the first in the country to start that. We now have 16 all over the state, and they are powerhouses of training and learning, and there's not another state that can come close to producing that kind of training that we have. Who's on SC Nexus? Lockheed Martin, Nucor, Sunoco, Westinghouse, energy companies, Pomega, Redwood Materials, they're making the lithium batteries, AESC, they're making batteries. Business alliances, the South Carolina's Manufacturing Alliance, Charleston Defense Contractors, and all of that, which led to us as being designated one of the 31 technology and innovation hubs to be created in the United States by the U.S. Department of Commerce. There are 400 applications among the states were invited to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Commerce. We chose power. We know we have to have electricity for everything we do, so that's what we suggested that our state wanted to do. And we got a call from Secretary Gina Raimondo, Secretary of Commerce, on October the 23rd, 2023, saying you are one of the 12, one of the 31. It will be narrowed down to 12, and we are confident that we will win that, and that will be millions of dollars to learn how we can work better with you to provide electricity, the right grid work, the efficiencies, and everything that you will need in order to succeed with us. Let's go on just a little bit more. February 15th, 2024, Scout Motors came along. Scott Keogh was one of the most interesting men I've ever met. That's when they began construction in Columbia, South Carolina, on a $2 billion, 1,600 acres, and 400 jobs, 4,000 jobs. Then, June 21, 2024, BMW again announced the grand opening of its press plant shop in Spartanburg, up near Greenville, and it also marked their 30th anniversary. I was there. On June the 23rd, 2024, I'll read you quickly and lastly, this is an article published by our technical college system, and I think you'll find this interesting and hope you can just think of what we may be able to do for you in your business. It says this, it was in November 2023 that this happened, but it's published just yesterday. In keeping with this tradition, a ready South Carolina team involved on its scouting mission to map out the training and recruitment strategy will equip South Carolina's workforce with the skills and knowledge needed to drive Scout Motors' success. When Volkswagen Group handpicked South Carolina as a site for its first ever Scout Motors electric vehicle facility, Ready SC and the South Carolina College Technical System stepped forward as pioneering partners with the mandate to prepare a potential workforce of 4,000 workers for the upcoming EV manufacturing hub. The collaboration aims to tailor training programs aligned with the demands of crafting next generation electric trucks and robust SUVs. Quote, one of our major goals is to develop specific training for the impending Scout Motors workforce, said Patrick Sellers, who's the project director from Ready SC. Along with that, we are collaborating with Scout to establish an on-site training center tailored to meet their unique needs. It goes on to say the first step in this journey was to assemble a diverse team of experts from Ready SC and Midlands Technical College experienced in the training and recruitment requirements of advanced manufacturing. The Discovery team then voyaged to Volkswagen's headquarters in Wolfsburg, Germany in November 2023. There they developed deep into Volkswagen's established training methodologies, seeking to adapt and implement those proven strategies in the forthcoming South Carolina facility. The team marveled at Volkswagen's pioneering strides in electric vehicle training, encountering an environment prime for learning. Quote, the people from South Carolina, our discovery trip to Germany was an amazing experience. He goes on to say, we saw how they orchestrate different elements to bring their training to life and company culture, technology, production systems, evaluation methods, and so forth. And they finish up. When the team returned home, they said this, we are currently focused on taking what we learned from the discovery trip and nailing down the training design. We have a great partnership with the Scout team, working to develop a really solid pre- and post-hire training plan. We soon are going to begin hiring and training our own additional staff to help implement that training. So it goes on to say that we are in partnership and look forward to a great facility there. Now, everything that I've just said that we are doing for Scout, we'll be happy to do with you as we've done with others. So I'll finish up with just a couple of thoughts. In September 1987, Pope John II visited Columbia, South Carolina, and the University of South Carolina. As he moved around in his Pope Mobile, which was made by Mercedes-Benz, he was heralded all over the place. At the Horseshoe, which is a historic place in the center of the campus, he said this. He said, and I quote, it is wonderful to be young. It is wonderful to be young and a student. It is wonderful to be young and a student at the University of South Carolina. So I will say this to you. I believe it is wonderful to be a German. It is wonderful to be a German in business. And it will be wonderful to be a German doing business in South Carolina. So I thank you for having me here. And to you all I say, Danke schön and auf Wiedersehen. Thank you.